Okay, hi, welcome back to another kind of little vlog slash blog. Um, Today I just wanted to be showing you guys exactly how I narrowed down a photo story and how I basically edit it. Um, so in this we're going to be doing standing rock just because I literally just edited this series down from about like 40 photos to about 22 photos. So it's fresh in my mind, and I was going through a lot of the photos and trying to pick which ones worked and which ones didn't, and why. And I thought it'd be kind of an interesting process to figure out like why I would pick a photo over another photo, especially if it's something that I like. Why would I pick the lesser good photo of the two? So yeah, so I just wanted to take you guys through that. So we're starting out with about 40 pictures. I just included some funny pictures of me at the end for you guys. So we're starting off with about 40 pictures, and I narrowed it down to about half of that. So I think what's best is just to go through the photos really quick so you can kind of get a little bit of a gist of what we're working with here. And for everyone that's signed up to my newsletter, you'll have seen the final edit that I chose. And I think I might also go through sequencing today as well, though I'm not exactly sure. We'll see where the road takes us today. And some of these photos you guys may have never seen before. And that's cool because I've been going through the process of just going through all my old photos and redesigning these stories to fit the photographer that I am today, because for anyone that's new here, I went to Standing Rock when I was 19 years old, and these are all very amateurish photographers, they're photographs, and I really did not know a lot about how to do a photo story. I didn't even know what photojournalism was at this point. I was just going because I thought it was interesting to photograph and to see what was going on with my own two eyes. So a lot of these pictures are just ones that I really didn't know what I was doing, and I just realized that we have two of the same photos in here, so I'm going to delete that one. And really quick, here we go, 19, Standing Rock. Woohoo! Dreads in my hair. Fun stuff. Okay, so let's get straight into it. So I'm going to tell you guys first that there are several police photos, and when you're doing a story like this, even though I was here for nearly 2 months of documenting what was happening, I have so many photos because I was very trigger happy as a new photojournalist. It's so hard to pick a good amount of photos that really are clear and concise of what story you want to be telling. And for me at the time, I did not know what story I was telling. I was just photographing what was in front of me, what was interesting, what was happening. And for, a lot of people that is photojournalism. But now I've moved into kind of a more documentary style and not just straight up pictures of what's happening in front of you. I want to, really take in those quiet moments and show the atmosphere and the feelings and associated with what's going on inside a situation. So for this, there was a few police photos that kind of stood out to me at some of the more direct actions. And, obviously protests are a form of conflict, and you need to have conflict in your story. So the police officers are definitely one of the biggest storylines, the clashes with the protesters and things like that. So I'm just going to move all of the police photos over here so we can just take a look at them. So within a photo story like this, you don't want it to go on and on and on. You want to just pick not necessarily the best pictures, but like I said before, the best pictures to tell the story that you want to tell. So here we have a couple. So those were my 4 choices out of the hundreds of photographs that I took. So for this one, I really like the colors in this photo. I really like the positioning. As you can see, like here, we go to here, 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 here. It's kind of like this wavy line, and it kind of just draws you down this hill. I like the green grass. I like the muted tones of this day because it was really rainy and cold. I like that you can see kind of the police and, you know, trucks in the back with the water cannons. You get the riot bats. You know, there's not a lot of action happening, but you get the gist of what's going on. There is a line of police officers, and, you know, there are protesters on the other side. So you have information, and that can kind of place you where you're at. With this photograph, I think it's really important because, again, this is a Native American man, one of the elders that organized a lot of the direct actions. You know, we have him on his horse, and then we have another line of police officers. You know, we're all standing in a field. Unfortunately, this day was super bright and sunny. It didn't offer a lot of like dramatic lighting or anything like that. I really am not so sure about this tree here. Again, these are not some of my favorite photographs I've ever taken, but we're working with what we have, so that's the important part. So I'm not super crazy about this photo. You do get some of the riot bats here, but again, it's not one of the stronger photos, but it does depict, here we have on the left, a Native American man against the police officers, and that is exactly what the Standing Rock protest was about, was Native Americans against the government and clashing with the police officers. So it's a straightforward photo. This photo, initially, I kind of did like this photo. If you know me, you know that I like things to not be in focus or to be obvious. With this photo, you know, we have this man who's kind of doing this odd action. You can clearly see that he's a state trooper. They've got their, you know, shields on. This guy kind of has a grumpy face, but unfortunately, this is just one of those photos where I feel like it was close, but not close enough. You know, sometimes you just really hit the mark on taking a good kind of ambiguous photo like this, and other times this is just an example of where you really just missed the mark. For me, it was the fact that this guy the autofocus was just on him. I think it would have been different if the focus was somewhere else, but this just kind of looks like I accidentally took this photo, and it doesn't really scream anything super special to me. The only thing is this guy's urgency in his face, like what's going on, what's happening. And then there's this photograph. Again, this was taken on the same day as this photo. And again, really just like bad lighting, very straightforward. You don't really know what's going on. You can't place yourself. Whereas with this, you can really place yourself, okay, a Native American man against police officers. Here, it's like, okay, are they going on for a training? They don't have any riot bats. They're just kind of standing there in a line. You know, very odd. However, when I was 19, I really loved this photo. I thought it was like the most amazing photo you could ever do. So, so there's that. So for my 2 picks, I think it really depends, again, how long we're looking to make this story. But automatically, you know, I would take away this one and this one. So that's what we're going to do now. And then we're left with these to do what we want with. So then the next most important part of the story is obviously the Native American people and the protesters standing with them, standing up against the police. What does that look like? We have this here, but there's not really a lot of action going on, just a man on a horse. And then we don't see any Native American protesters here, so, you know, what is going on during these protests? So I have a few pictures that kind of symbolize that, like, you know, what's actually going on. So I'm going to count this one as one and bring it up here next to this one. And where's the other one I'm looking for? Here it is. Oh, and this one. I mean, all of these are kind of like in general, like protesting photos, but I'm talking about just kind of the action shots, I guess you could say. Okay, so for those, we have this one, which was taken at a protest the same time as this photo was taken. So, where they're burning sage. And, I think this is an important photograph because it just shows, again, Native American culture, and the reason that they burn sage is to help take away any bad energy and to protect peace. And have peace. So this was taken at one of the direct actions, and I feel like it's kind of an interesting composition. It's not so obvious like a lot of my photos from this time were. And so I really like this shot. Then there's this photograph, which I really do love. I love, again, these kind of lines where these people are in a line. We have the obvious sign, water is life, Mini Wachoni. Everyone's kind of doing their own thing. And then we have the helicopter. And the helicopters were a very important piece of information during these protests because they were either police helicopters or press helicopters. So either way, whenever a helicopter flew by or flew really low, protesters were all about waving flags, putting their fists in the air, putting peace signs, and, just standing up for what they believed in. So I think this just encapsulates Standing Rock protests just in a general way. It gives you very obvious information and also a glimpse into people and, have a little bit of an action shot that ties together this helicopter with the police officers. So I really like this photo. This photo, again, I really like the lines in this. I like that this guy is kind of looking away and he's in this like action mode type of thing. We have the obvious sign. I really like the green grass and the blue skies, the contrast. I just like that everyone is doing their own thing and you have these kind of mountain zigzag lines. I really, really like this photo. And this was one of the diamonds in the rough that when I recently did my re-edit, I came back to and ended up really liking. So next we again have the fists, the helicopter, this really beautiful negative space, and this guy on his phone, which, you could probably crop that out if you wanted to. But for me, I actually really liked this photo. I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, but for me, I really do like playing with this negative space, dark sky, the helicopter. I think the light is really beautiful on each of their skins. I like that it's all, varying colors and they all have their fists in the air. I think it's just one of those quiet photos that just speaks some sort of volume. So I do like this photo. And then we have this older woman protesting. I really love her facial expression. I love the wind in her hair across her face. I love that everyone's kind of doing something else around her. No one else has their fists up, but it's just her. She's just retained this very statuesque pose. These beautiful colors of the turquoise and her earrings. You can, tell that she's a Native American woman. The sunlight patch through here, and yeah, I really like this photo. And also this just kind of little patch of sunlight on her face, I think is good. The only thing that slightly bothers me is this phone and this woman. If the woman kind of had a different facial expression, I think I would like it a little bit more, but she doesn't. It just kind of looks like she's in mid-sentence, and it bothers me, but there's nothing we can do about that, so. And then also this photograph I think is really quite interesting. Again, we have the elkskin drum, the bald eagle, this woman smoking a cigarette, which I think is just a great picture in itself. He's singing, and then we have someone with their fists up in the air. And again, this is taken at one of the direct actions, but you can't exactly tell. It looks like maybe they could just be singing. It doesn't necessarily look like they are actively protesting. There's no action really going on besides the singing and the drumming. So for me, this picture is kind of underwhelming. So I think, out of those photographs that I would want to keep, I think we're going to take away this one for now. And also this one, I like it, but it's just not that great. So that one's cutting it. So, okay, we have kind of the police, we have some action during some of the protests and things like that. And then this was also another action shot that, I was a little bit iffy on. So this was during one of the direct actions. You can tell from this woman that it was the other woman with her fists in the air. And this was after the police had arrived and they were warning to tell others who were coming up to these kinds of supposedly front lines. So I like this photo because it's blurry. You don't really know what's going on. Why are they running? Why aren't these people in a hurry? Again, it's not a great photo, but I think it's an important piece to the story. So, we're going to keep it for now. We'll just put it up there. So then the rest of the photos, I guess this one is technically from a direct action as well. We have a Native American man in his, headdress. And at first, when I was 19, I really liked this photograph. Just because I think the light is really beautiful, the colors are really beautiful. Now looking at it, I think the composition is a little bit boring. The fact that he's staring at me, it's a little bit uncomfortable. It's not necessarily like a direct protest that's happening. It's just kind of he's walking by and he's like, oh, she's taking a picture of me. That's weird and I don't like that. So I don't know. It's just not really my favorite photo. I think when I was 19 it was, but not anymore. So I think we're just going to get rid of that one. Okay, let's look at the rest here. So next, I think what we're going to focus on is location, because you need to set your setting, basically. You need to know where you're at. People need to be able to place a location. Where are we? What are we doing? What are the colors? What does it look like? Is it cold? Is it warm? Is it hot? Is it raining? Is it, I don't know, anything really. So I think these are kind of all location images a little bit. This one too. Yeah. Okay, let's take a look at them. So we have this one, which I really like. It was taken a very foggy morning. I think it was like my last morning there. No, it wasn't actually. Okay. Really foggy morning, really beautiful. You can see the teepees. Okay, boom, we're at a reservation. The fog, the light adds a kind of mysteriousness of it. The smoke, the campfire smoke. We're obviously at a camp. Boom, we have an idea of where we're at. Here, again, this is a very obvious picture. The sunset is really gorgeous. You have teepees. You have the trees in the back. This negative space in the sky. I'm not super happy about the composition. I think it's really boring. The sunset's really beautiful. It's just teepees in the sunset. So, I think it's kind of boring. This one, there's been a lot of controversy on this one. It's not my favorite photograph. I think it's one of the photos that I looked back on and I thought was pretty interesting. But now looking at it, it's kind of blurry. I didn't have the right settings on my camera. The light is really nice. I do like the sky. I like them on the horizon. I like that you can see the teepee. For me, it's not 100%, but we also have to work with what we have, so that's that. So this was actually taken on a film camera. So the lighting and the color grading are really not the same as the rest of the pictures. We have the teepees, we have the tents, we have the laundry hanging up. You can kind of see the chaos of the camp. We have the campfire smoke, the hills, so we can really place where we're at. Okay, we're at a camp, we're at a reservation, we're not in a mountainous place. People are living here, people are active. So you have an idea of what the camp is about. I really like this photo, but as you can see, it just really stands out from the rest of the color grading of the photos because it is film, and because when I was shooting film, this was very early stages. I did not know anything about resolution or negatives. I didn't keep anything, so this is all I got. So I can't really play with the colors that much. So And then we have this. This is the Cannonball River, and we just have a few boys playing in the river at sunset. I really like this image. I think it's really beautiful. I like that you can see this kind of, puddle thing. No, what is it? Like splash ring, I guess. The simpleness of the long grass, the light on his skin, you can see that it's hilly, we're at a river, you can see that there's tents and camper vans, there's no teepees around, but I think that's fine. And, it's not just like a clear sky, it's got some clouds, and I think that's nice. I think it's a nice image and a nice moment. This was another diamond in the rough for me that I found when I went back and looked at my photographs. This was taken, I think, in between like car doors. So I think for a lot of people, they may not like the framing because it's like, it's in the way. Like, it'd be nice if it was just like, just this part. But I don't know. I kind of like it. It kind of looks like you're peeking into a picture frame, or you're peeking into a moment that you don't really know what's going on. You kind of have this hill here. It's really nice light, especially like on the horses. It really just makes that like golden brown color come to life. And they're all young men. Oh, he was actually a friend. I rode that horse. All young men. What are they looking at? From far away, it kind of looks like he's looking through binoculars. I mean, they're all facing this way. What's going on? It's one of those pictures that just makes you question what's going on and why it's happening. So for that reason, I really like it, and I think I'm going to keep it. So throughout like those pictures of setting a place, I think I'm definitely going to get rid of this one just because I just don't find it very interesting. And I'm going to have to get rid of this one. I really love it, but I can't edit it any more than that to match the rest of the aesthetic of the photos, so I'm going to have to get rid of it. And for this one, I just think that there are better photographs. I prefer this one over this one any day, so I'm going to delete that one. So next up, we have a couple of photographs of kids, like portraits and things like just of daily activities in the camp itself. Showing what life is like on the reservation, what's going on, what are people doing, why are they doing it, just to kind of give a glimpse into daily life, really. So that's quite a bit. So this is, really where the story comes to life, these parts. So let's take a look. Okay, so we have this photograph. This was kind of the chief of security. He went out every night and patrolled the reservation kind of border, so to speak. This was his boy and this was his daughter. And so he was just getting his horse ready. You can see his walkie-talkie here. I don't know, this was kind of one of the very first photos I took in this camp, and I like that the kid isn't necessarily in focus. I do kind of actually like that he's looking at me, because you can't really, it's a little bit ambiguous if he's looking at me or past me. I really like the feathers in his hair, the cloudy sky, the woman feeding the horse. Again, if you just look at the lines, boom, 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 boom. You can see his hands doing something on the saddle. I think it's a really nice moment. So this was the young girl that, again, if you're new here or just don't know, she almost drowned in the Cannonball River that night, and this was us coming home from that, and she was very quiet afterwards and just in the back of the truck, and I was sitting in the front observing the 13-year-old boy driving us across the reservation. And I don't know, I just really like this moment. I think when I was 19, I was like, oh my god, this is a terrible photograph because her reflection, it looks like she has two heads and it's blurry, and this photograph was just devastating. But to me now, this is actually one of my favorite photos from Standing Rock. And I really like the light. I like the pieces of clouds. I love the reflection. I love that it kind of looks like she has two heads. I like the look on her face. What is she looking at? There's just so much I really love about this photograph, and it's just one of those things where it's like, this is an interesting photo for me. May not be for you, and that's fine. For me, I just think that this is a really interesting photograph that I just wonder what's going on. Why is she looking that way? Where is this even taken? This doesn't even look like a car, really. Yeah. So this was also taken that night of one of the other kids that was there when she almost drowned, and it was just kind of a very shocking night for everyone involved, especially little kids. And this was when we were all, relaxing by the fire and roasting marshmallows and having peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. And again, this was just kind of one of those moments like, what is happening? Why is it happening? Why does he have this face? What's this like line down the middle? It's just one of those very ambiguous moments, and I think it was just something like an expression that I caught during the night. I don't actually really know what was happening. I know that it was a very stressful night for everyone, and we were all just trying to relax, so I don't know if I kind of caught him in the moment or something I don't know. I don't really know what was going on here, but I really like this photograph, and I always have. So, I probably will keep it. Okay, this photograph is very similar to this one. So, at first when I was 19, again, I really liked this photograph because, oh my god, he's looking at me, he's in the water, blah, 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 blah. Now, I much prefer this photograph. I love this kind of gentle touch on the rock. I love this little whirlpool, the kind of lines in the water that encompass him. I love the sun on his skin. I love that he's, not just like, he's kind of got like what's on his arms, mud or something like that. This kind of light spot, this negative space. This is actually one of my favorite photos ever that I've ever taken. I just really love anything about this photo. This one, just not very interesting at all. This one, however, yes. So I think it's a pretty clear choice for that. Oh, we gotta keep going. This one, this was kind of the guy that I'd pointed out earlier. I don't really know. I like this photo in theory. Does it make sense with a story? Probably not. This is my friend Hunter. He was in the tribe in the camp that kind of took me in as their own, the Oglala tribe. And he was really sweet, super nice person. And this was just taken inside of a teepee. I really like this photograph. I think it's interesting for a 19-year-old to take. Would I take it now? I'm not really sure. But it's there, and I don't think it's bad. Again, this is a film photo, so I can't really play much around with the photo coloring of it, but I really like this photograph, actually. It's one of my favorites. These guys were super nice and super sweet. I love that it says Sue on his shirt. I love the necklaces, the neck tattoo. I just like the looks on their faces, how this guy is just super sweet, and this guy looks, like a lot of people would put on kind of a protester face as soon as I took a photo, which understandably so, which was kind of hard and mean mugging type of thing. So this guy definitely put on that front, and this guy's kind of, I don't know, he's got a nice face. And the flag is in the background. I really like this. This one, I'm 50-50 on, really. I think that it's okay. I think it's interesting. I just don't think it really has anything to do with the story. I don't really know what it's telling me. There's nothing really happening in this photograph other than the fact that it's blurry. I like it as an image by itself, but within the context of the story, I just really don't think it does much for me. So, yeah. So I think out of those photographs, I'm definitely going to have to get rid of that one. And then also get rid of this one for now. And then, unfortunately, definitely get rid of that one. And I'm kind of thinking I'm going to have to get rid of this one. Just because, again, I can't really make it match the rest of the photographs. So, saved for another day. And then, let's see what else. We also have some portraits, which are very hard to choose from. So this man, he actually took a bus from the East Coast. I can't remember where it was. I want to say it was like North Carolina or something like that. Taking a bus full of people who wanted to stand with the Native Americans and, protest the pipeline. So he bought this bus and took a bunch of people down. And he was actually one of like the first people to arrive like with the Native American protesters. So I don't know, I thought he was kind of an interesting character, had a really interesting face. This guy was also another one of the security members of the camp. And I just love his freckles. I love his eyes, his face. I didn't really get to know him that well. He was just a really interesting character. I like this photo a lot. I like that there's part sun, part shadow. I like his cowboy hat. It just kind of looks like something out of like an old Western film or something. I'm not sure. But I just really loved his face and his just kind nature. Then there was this guy. He was also very, very sweet. And again, another mean mugging when I'm taking a photograph. This was taken at night. Obviously, and he has this American flag that's upside down, a common symbol of like fuck America, when they're protesting. So a lot of people had upside down flags just to kind of prove a point. I don't know. I'm really not sure about this photograph. I like it, but then I also don't. I don't really know the point of it, to be honest. So there's that. Then this is kind of the same situation I had with the other two guys. These are different guys though. I don't know why. I know this photograph isn't very interesting, but I kind of like it. I don't know if it's the lighting or the way, I think it's the way his hands are placed here. I don't know why, but I find that really interesting. I don't know. I can't really say much about this photograph because there's not much to it. I just like it. Then there was this old woman. She was super sweet, super nice, and she invited me into her teepee and told me a lot of information about Native American culture and the protests and, her life. Very, very sweet woman. She made jewelry and stuff. I don't know. I really like this photograph. I like her lip. I think you can see the teeth. I like the fingers. I just really like everything about it. I think it's kind of interesting. I like that it's a little bit out of focus, so, maybe. And do we have one more? No. Okay, that was it, yeah. So from all of these, I don't know. I'm kind of like really on the fence about all of them, to be honest, because I remember his name. His name was Smokey. I didn't really have his story. I didn't really have any of these people's stories besides this guy, and I don't remember his name. I don't remember how old he was. So there's a lot of information that I'm missing from these characters, which is really sad. But again, I was 19. I had no idea what I was doing. I was just taking pictures of anything and anyone that would let me do that. So, I don't know. I think I'd have to get rid of this one. And unfortunately, probably Smokey. I just don't really see him fitting in the sequence because we have to really narrow things down. And this one, I know that I like, but other people probably won't, so we'll just delete that one. And between these two, I think this is kind of compositionally interesting, but I think this one's better, to be honest. So we're going to go and delete that one for now. And then the remaining pictures we have are this one. This is the actual pipeline construction. And again, my friend that you saw in the other two pictures with his horse. We have the very obvious no dapple sign. The lighting isn't very interesting, but you have the pipeline, which, you don't really have any photos of. And it's like, how do you take interesting photos of a pipeline? You really don't. So this to me was as interesting as it was going to get, especially with the position of the horse. So definitely keeping that one. This one is one that I really love. I know it's blurry. I know that doesn't make any sense. I love the blurriness of it. I love the colors. I love the moment. this just was such a nice moment for me. But again, this is like a personal opinion. So, you know, is this going to affect the story? Does it really tell something? Not really. Then there's this one. It was taken at a direct action. I love this photo. I love this guy. I love his back tattoos. I love the horses. I love the finger pointing. I love the green, the blue. Again, the lines, boom, 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 boom. Just draws your eye. I think it's a good photograph composition-wise. So definitely keeping that one. And then we have this one. You know, police officer, horse, Native American man, you know, protesters, what's going on, you have questions, you have this guy in the foreground that's kind of blurry, his profile, his cowboy hat. I think it's an interesting moment. I'm not mad about it. And then we have this one. These kids came all the way from Pine Ridge, South Dakota, I think. Yeah, there you go. And they ran here, which is pretty insane. And they had a police escort and hundreds of cars that escorted them to the camp. So this was such an amazing moment. It was beautiful. It was sunset. People were cheering. Everyone from the camp was there. It was an amazing moment. So definitely keeping that one. So now we've narrowed it down to 23 photographs. Bump, bump, bump. What are we going to do? Okay, I think we're going to have to... I think we're going to have to get rid of that one. And as far as these two, I'm just not really feeling that they have a sequence in here. We really have to keep this short and sweet as far as photographs go. So delete that. And delete her. I'm sorry. And... yeah. Oh, we have this one too. I forgot to show you guys. Just Yell First Aid. I think it's an interesting photograph in the sense of this cardboard sign says just Yell First Aid at a medic camp. You know exactly that this is a protest, and just kind of the simplicity of it. I wish that string wasn't there, but you know, what can you do? So this one has to stay. So let's take a look. I think, you know, if I had to choose between this photograph and this photograph, I would choose this one. This one tells more of a story with the helicopter. I think it's much more interesting. All right. So there you have it, guys. Those are kind of my final photographs. I hope you enjoy it. You can see the rest of the final sequence and how I put it together on my website. And yeah, thanks for hanging out today.